And now we're getting to the Dungeon Master's question of the week.
Yes.
Which is how to deal with players that joke a lot. You know?
Yeah, overly joking players.
You grab your axe, you grab some poison, you put the poison in their cup. You know, you grab.
I thought you were going to say put the poison on the axe, because why are you having an axe if you're going to poison?
Or the axe is just, we're telling how to deal with the joking players, right? So you grab your knives, you just get ready. Put on some masks, right? Oh, wait, this is not, dealing with, we're talking about,
This is not to kill them, no.
Oh.
This is how to deal with a joking player if you want everyone to live. So obviously games, sessions, campaigns, your players are going to joke, you're going to joke, you're all friends probably, joking is fine, okay?
Are we friends in this world?
Maybe not.
If someone does joke too much, I'm like, you are no longer friends.
Right, too much is the emphasis here. So this is a common problem where people, there's just reasons why they're joking a lot. And I'll break down, you can break down the reasons why. Well, hang on. But before we do that, I just want to say that just because someone's being silly doesn't mean you have a problem on your hands, right? Sometimes people are just in a silly mood, and maybe this session was supposed to be serious, and it ends up being silly, but next time it'll be fine, and it just happened to be a silly time. That's totally fine. You're not a problem here. When you're at a problem is when there is a certain player, one in specifically. I'm not talking about your whole party, because if everyone's silly, you just might be with the wrong group. Because if they all like being silly and you don't, then you're the odd man out. I'm talking about if you have one player who always seems to throw that joke in at the wrong time, and you want to keep them in because you like them, but you just want them to be a little less funny. You want them to take your world a little more seriously.
Yeah, when that one player makes jokes at the aboleth.
Right.
Like, ha ha ha.
It's like, no.
You're so dumb. Even though every person in real life, if you met an aboleth, you would be freaking horrified.
Right after you go through this big monologue of how terrifying this aboleth is, and
you're
then
like,
they just crack a joke.
You look weird.
Then you're like, okay, you just ruined the tension, right?
Exactly.
And there's a lot of things you can do to remedy this. And so we'll get into it right now. So, Ethan, give me a reason why someone might be joking.
Well, probably because they want attention. That could be one.
Okay, they want attention.
They want the taste and the feeling of being in the spotlight. They want everyone to laugh at their joke, and they want themselves to feel good. So you know how you counteract that? You say your jokes are stupid.
Okay, Ethan,
and
enough
if
of these
you
jokes.
make more...
Okay, all right. We have to actually answer this question and not just joke every single answer. All right, I'm going to get into it.
Purpose.
So, yes, they could want attention, and if they don't feel like they have enough attention... you either aren't giving them enough attention, or they just have a separate problem, and that they are a separate type of player at that point, in which case they always want the spotlight, and we've already covered those. So if you think that they are joking just because they want attention 24/7, go look at players that want the spotlight all the time. That's a separate episode. But for now, let's talk into some other reasons. So one reason is that they might just be bored, and when people are bored, they try to do things that make them not bored, and so that includes joking. And it's when it comes to storytelling and being a DM, you can make people bored really easily, and it's really not don't feel bad about it if you are doing it. It's
rough. It's hard.
It's hard to do to be a DM, and sometimes what you're saying is just not what your players care about at the moment, and that can be hard to hear. But don't think you're a bad DM because of it. Just figure out why and change it, right? But, so if they're bored, this is one thing I would tell you to do with your campaign to make sure people aren't bored. And it's to change up the world and story in dramatic ways as you go. And this may seem obvious, but it's actually something I kind of forget a lot about, and a lot of people forget. Because people like this idea of a sandbox, right? They like this idea of a reactionary way of DMing, where you've set up the premise, you've put in the front work of getting a story rolling, and then the players get to choose what they do, right? You don't want to railroad them. They choose what they do. And so you as the DM are just kind of reacting to the players. Every time the player does something, you just do what would be naturally the next thing, right? So if the players enter a town, Okay, what's going on in the town? What are the town's issues? Maybe they figure out that there's something with the mayor and they stop the mayor. Okay, well, now there's no leadership for the town. So the next session is about how are they going to reinstate leadership? What sort of things come out? Okay, you can get in this cycle where every time they do something, that you just go to the next expected problem, right? And that is good to some degree, right? It makes people feel like there are consequences to what they do. But every now and then throughout your campaign, you need to just flip the switch. They killed the mayor, the evil mayor, and now the town needs new leadership, but you instead have been foreshadowing this giant evil, and now the evil hits and people start coming up as the undead and attacking, and now it's an apocalyptic scene and the campaign is completely different now. Those are the kind of switches that are good to do. And if you can foreshadow them, that's even better. And you want to be intentional about doing them because it keeps your players on their toes and it gives them something new, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably capable, and if you play D&D, you're probably capable of sticking with something for a long time. You have a pretty long attention span, right? But people have limited attention spans, right? Some people watch TikTok.
What?
But like people have limited attention spans, so you want to flip things up. It really makes people not bored. That's why people like TikTok, because TikTok is just constantly something new, right? So with your campaign, obviously you don't give them something new every 6 seconds.
Yes, you do. You're like, hey, look, you see this elf giving prey. Then all of a sudden this dragon attacks, and then in the ocean there's an aboleth.
But then the dragon leaves actually, and it's actually a kraken now. And no. But you don't want to have like weeks of the same vibe.
You guys
now, if your players are really enjoying it, maybe you're doing fine. But if your players are bored and cracking jokes, and maybe one of them is, this is probably a big reason. So just my advice to you is keep in mind that this campaign will take a direction, and you need to put in the work to knock it into a different direction every now and then. You just gotta input your DM will and flip things in ways the characters were not expecting. So there you go. That's boredom. And so this is assuming that you've already created a campaign with your players' preferences in mind. Because obviously if you make a campaign and it's not at all what they like to play, then they're going to be bored. So make sure you're obviously making a campaign they like. And when you're making these changes, they can be small scale. So like maybe they defeat the mayor and then bam, an alien bursts out of their chest. And it's like, it's just a surprise, right? And this is like in the moment. Like this character has been joking, bam, you just got surprised. And so now they're probably going to stop joking because it's like, wait, what's going on? Wait, what the heck? Why is there an alien?
So you're telling me just to random stuff out. I was like, yes, you beat the mayor.
Sometimes
all
random.
Of a sudden the moon is falling on top of your heads. You must run away to the other portal. Chaos is...
Right. You hear an explosion outside and
you see children crying, random stuff is happening. Zombies coming up to kill you. Yeah.
But you don't want to be kind of cliche with this or like make it seem forced. The large scale ones are what I recommend because the large scale ones then launch you into just like more and more new things. So for example, like when I said the evils arrive, maybe it's like this big evil storm that's turning things undead. Like I said, like that causes a whole range of new problems, right? So those are good because it's not only like, wait, the evil storm is here. It's also like, how do we stop it? And wait, maybe we have to stop it while also finding new leadership for this town and stuff like that. So that's boredom. So keep the plot moving and evolving to help boredom. Another reason.
I'm already bored.
You're already bored. So let's keep the plot moving here. The next reason. The next reason that you would have someone maybe being overly joking is that they're frustrated. They've basically given up on your campaign. Like they've tried to do something, and then you just have been knocking them down, and they're just frustrated, and they're like, fine, forget this. I'm just going to have fun how I want to have fun, and I'm just going to joke around. Okay, this is a rough one.
It's kind of your fault.
It's kind of your fault if this is the case, but what you just need to do is if people feel frustrated, you might just be playing hyper-realistically. This is another thing I do. Like, I want to make sure people understand consequences. But you have to be generous sometimes and understand that your players are stupid sometimes, and they don't have the omniscient perspective of you. And so you need to give them victory sometimes. That's obvious, right? Give people victories.
I never give my players victory.
They always
can only
lose.
Earn it.
But the point that isn't so obvious is give them victories sometimes, even when it doesn't seem plausible. It's like, oh my god, you guys totally did not do the thing that would beat this dragon. But you know what? I'm gonna let you win this one. You haven't won a bunch. You guys seem to be getting frustrated. Don't say this out loud. Just like give them the win and like make it feel natural. And that will hopefully help their frustration because it's like, oh my god, we actually did it. You know what I mean? Which can help.
Yeah, guys, we did it. And then as a DM, you give them a participation trophy. And you're like, good job.
Good job. Yeah, good job. And they're like, wait, but we just threw some rocks at the dragon.
Good pats on the
Yeah, but didn't you notice that they were magical rocks? Oh, we didn't. Well, hey, that's lucky then. Yeah, right. Okay.
And then one guy in the back's like, just screams like mega sus.
Why did you? Yeah. So there's that. But in frustration in general, you just consider why they're frustrated. Perhaps it's not even the campaign. Perhaps one of the players is being a different type of problem player and it's frustrating this person. And this person is just tired of it. And they're like, fine, if this person is just going to be on their phone while we're playing, then I'm not going to pay attention either. And I'm just going to joke around. Right? Like some people get really mad when you are not paying attention. You know what I mean? So you just got to be kind of aware of like what is frustrating your players, and then obviously this is an open-ended one. You just got to deal with what the frustration is, but it could be.
So do you know how you do it? You break the kid's phone in front of them. That's how you do it, kids. Do the bear way.
Okay, yeah, the bear way.
If someone's joking around, you freaking punch them in their mouth. Like, shut up and listen, little butthole. You know.
Right.
Play the game. God dang it. That's the bear way. Do the bear way. It's the better way.
That sounded almost like a little jingle there.
I feel so proud of myself.
Yes. Okay. The next reason is they might be stressed. You know what I mean? You might be making them. You might be making the tone so like serious all the time, and so like
you gotta do this, plus or all your friends die.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god.
You got 3 turns. Do it, boy.
Do it. They might be stressed, and they might just need a break. Oh my god. It's like we need a break.
That's why you go to the tavern. So it's their fault. Just go to the tavern.
Yeah, so you just need to give them stuff that's lighthearted sometimes. And that's really how it goes. I mean, when it comes to your campaign, you need to match your campaign you need to mirror how humans feel emotion. And so let me expand on this. Humans do not ever just feel one emotion. Like I'm not just like the happy person and then Ethan's just the angry person and then we're just always that emotion. No, we both are happy sometimes and we're both angry at sometimes. Even if someone is a little more angry than others, everyone fluctuates. And the reason for that is because people literally cannot stay in one emotional state, right? If you look at the happiness level of someone in like a really underprivileged community and then look at the happiness level of like the rich, they're actually like the same, pretty close, because humans aren't capable of just being happy all the time. The rich just can't be happy all the time. They'll get used to it and then start being sad for other things, while the underprivileged won't be sad all the time, and they'll get really happy when something small happens. And that's just how emotions work. So with campaigns, for the same reason humans can't be one note in their emotions, you can't be one note in your tone. You can't just have this campaign of constant drudgery or it's constantly playful. You need a mix because that's how people feel emotion. And if you're not getting your players to feel things, they will get bored. And we'll jump back to the beginning.
That's why balance is everything. Balance is the key of the universe. Balance is the best way of anything in life. Literally anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they say don't have a balance name one thing that's not good when you balance.
Everything's in balance. Life is balance. And so if you're constantly giving your players this stressful, high stakes game, their body will physiologically force them to lighten the mood because they can't be in that mindset 24/7. They physically cannot. So you have to give them the space where it's natural for them to express their happiness. And joke around.
To express their happiness. Yeah, you're all gonna die in 4 turns. What do? I twist it in a funny way.
Right. And so like if you need this really tense thing to happen and you've only been giving them tense things before then, they're going to snap. And right when you need them to be serious, they're going to be joking because their emotions just aren't going to be able to hold up. But if you just gave them this lighthearted session not that long ago, they'll have the endurance to be serious about this when they need to be.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Don't make them fat off of serious stuff, guys. Imagine like emotions are like food. Don't eat the same food over and over again. Yeah. I learned that the hard way.
Right. Ethan just eats tortillas and cheese every meal.
They're good.
But it contributes to a D&D bod.
D&D bod?
Gamer bod, you know. Got like the gut.
Bears are...
It's the new cool thing.
Hey.
D&D bod.
Frick you.
Get your D&D bod today at junkfood.com.
Bears just got to prepare for hibernation, right?
Right. Right. All right. So a little bit more. So I was talking in general. So if a player's naturally a clown and isn't necessarily serious, they're just not naturally serious. They like to play around. That's just how they are. And I definitely have played with players like this, and one of my close friends is definitely like this. What you just need to do is you have to realize that they're here to have those moments. And so you need to make sure you give them the opportunity to joke around.
Wait, I thought that's not what I would do.
What would you do?
Throw them out! Those freaking disgusting clowns!
They're a player too. If they want to joke around, you give them the opportunity to joke around. And when you kind of give them a constant opportunity to be joking, then they'll learn that when they're in a serious situation that they shouldn't joke now because they know they'll have an opportunity later, and that's the appropriate time. It's kind of like training a dog, right? Like a dog will pee wherever it wants when it's a puppy. But once you train it that outside is where it needs to pee, it will actually be able to hold its pee until it's outside. It will learn that I pee outside, not in the inside. And so a joking player will say, I joke when we're in a lighthearted tone, not when we're in a serious tone.
So you're telling me I'm going to train my players like they're freaking dogs?
Yeah, I feel like that we've said that multiple times.
I kind of feel like we're aboleths. Yes. I train you.
Right, enslave. Okay, but this allows you to like keep the immersion because jokes really can break the immersion, right? If you're up against the aboleth and then someone cracks a joke, it's like, and then everyone starts laughing. It's like, well, immersion broken.
The aboleth just sits there, just staring at them, just like, what?
Yeah, and this keeps immersion because you're allowing them to make jokes in ways that are still immersive, right? This is a moment where your character would make a joke, so it's perfect. Like it doesn't break the world for anyone because the world is sustained by making jokes in joking ways. People in the Middle Ages made jokes too, but not when they're fighting an aboleth. So you just got to make sure that you make jokes at the times people in the world would make jokes. Okay, that should be good. The last thing. This is sort of related. Is if people it might just be that your players don't have enough time to talk outside of the game. Like if you are a group of friends that never get to talk, and you just meet up to play, I would set some time to talk before you start playing. That way everyone can get all their talking out of their system, and then they can get their mind in the head of their character when they're playing. So they're not like, oh, by the way, Jeffrey, what'd you do last weekend? It's like, no, we've already talked about that. This isn't the time. Play D&D after you have dinner or something. So, yeah. There we go. Yes. I think I've said everything I wanted to say on the matter. Do you have anything?
Punch them.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, yes, I agree with everything that you said. But, like, it is hard sometimes as a player to, like, not joke around. Like, for me, for example, like, I would totally try to make fun of the aboleth about how dumb.
We'll send this episode to your DM.
Yes.
So they can give you the opportunity.
But if you're a player which is having this problem, maybe talk to your DM and say, could you, like, spice things up a bit? We've been, like, in this town for 3 sessions, and we've been trying to find this one goblin boss, but he keeps evading, and we keep just like, going through, just talk with your DM if you're the player that's having this problem. I've dealt with a lot of people that are just jokes. Some people aren't really fit for like D&D. They just do it to joke around with their friends, which is like fine, it's fun, but like
Well, if that's not what everyone else wants to do, that's a problem. And
Yeah.
so you need to talk to them and do the things I just said. And if you're the player that's joking, and you feel like your DM just like is too serious, we'll send them this video. But also like just go back to the things I said, and if there's one that sounds like it would help, propose it to the DM. Like talk to them, be like, hey, I want to be serious, but I don't want to be serious all the time. Like, can we have moments where we're allowed to joke? And if the DM is able to prep those and feels like you're doing it at the time they planned, they will like it a lot better, and you won't have this like player v DM dynamic. So yeah, hopefully there's something helpful.
And you're probably wondering who would win player versus DM. The DM wins.
Well,
Every time.
not quite.
Every time.
Everyone's pretty equal.